How are you, Brandel?
I'm terrific, Rich, and I caught the tail end of y'all's discussion. I could tell you there are no butter sculptures out here at the PGA Championship.
Okay. Well, you're in New Jersey.
Impressively hot.
Yeah, we were talking about the Ohio State Fair where they make butter sculptures.
Gotcha. Gotcha. I agree. That's a terrific waste of butter. And I think Jason Day might have, first of all, there's the adage of be wary of the sick golfer, but maybe he had the perfect idea to come in here rested because it is a young man's event this week.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I'm sure the heat index is well up over 100 degrees. It's very humid. In the PGA Championship, I think for a lot of reasons like that, and the fact that it comes so late in the year gives us a lot of surprises. But one of them is not the fact that mostly younger players do well here, especially compared to the Open Championship.
So how do you see Baltusrol set up golf-wise as opposed to just the weather and how it might beat down those who are older, like maybe, say, Phil? How does it set up for everybody?
Well, the traditional thought about Baltusrol is it's a ball striker's golf course, and at first glance it may be that. But it wasn't the case for Phil in 2005. He didn't drive it particularly well at all, and Thomas Bjorn lost by a shot and didn't hit that many greens. It's really turned into a bit of a scrambling affair as far as everybody hits these days. And when you start talking about scramblers on the PGA Tour, you can hardly do better than Jason Day.
Jimmy Walker leading it right now at 5 under par. He's got a 1-stroke lead. That's a 9-stroke lead over Rory McIlroy. Brandel, what's going on with Rory these days?
Well, he seems a little frustrated, but I think he's frustrated mostly with his golf swing. He drives the ball beautifully, but his iron shots have been, by comparative standards, poor. He has, a technical flaw, in my opinion, in his golf swing as he moves into his right side, and it caused him to get sort of under the plane, which means he's swinging well out to the right, and he's got to save it with a flip at the bottom. And he's been working on it all year long, and to no avail. So I think he comes in here slightly frustrated, and he had a lot of poor iron shots today.
And, I mean, the frustration, I saw it, I guess, in his comments that he made at the Open Championship, and I know you were very open about your thoughts on him talking about that he's only going to watch the sports that matter when he was watching the Olympics. And I took it to see that he's ticked off at somebody in golf management or something about the golf world that rankles him. And I'm wondering what you might be able to help me identify that being.
Well, I think you're right, and that's kind of how I took it. And I do believe that he'd like to have those words back. But if you remember at the U.S. Open, a lot of players kicked back at the decision by the USGA. On Sunday. They kicked back through every social media avenue that they could, and among them was Rory McIlroy. Nobody likes to be told what to do, and there was almost a sense that people were telling Rory that you have to lead the game, you have to grow the game, and you, by extension, have to go to the Olympics. Look, in the men's golf world, if you get this large of group of athletes together, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a richer group of athletes, even at the Olympics. And there is a school of thought that, given the perfect storm of issues, that they don't need it. And
so what's the solution here, Brandel? Is there any, or maturity? Is that the solution? Just time?
Well, I think if golf makes it to the next go-around of the Olympics, and given the lack of support by the top players, that's in question right now. But if it makes it to the next go-around, I think there'll be more support. It took time for tennis to sort of get their arms around the Olympics. I think it'll take some time. These players didn't grow up dreaming of winning a gold medal, so there is no sort of nostalgic attraction to playing the Olympics. And when you throw in all the security concerns and the Zika concerns, which, they may prove to be unwarranted, but, that's hindsight's 20/20, as they say. And for a lot of the best players in the world, they look at it as a risk they're not willing to take, and given the condensed schedule, an inconvenience.
Well, Danny Willett, Dustin Johnson, and Henrik Stenson are teeing off together in the traditional pairing of the 3 previous major championship winners at the PGA. They're teeing off in about 15 minutes' time. Which one of those 3 do you think has the best opportunity to become a multiple major winner by this weekend?
Dustin Johnson, by far and away, I think. Even in spite of the odds that Vegas put up yesterday, they chose Rory as the favorite. Inexplicable to me. Dustin Johnson comes in here having driven the ball as well as ever been driven at the Canadian Open last week. He was almost 340 yards off the tee in fifth in distance, which is what he did at the U.S. Open and what he did at Bridgestone. Much improved. One of the best wedge players on the PGA Tour, one of the best chippers, and putts it beautifully. I don't know how. This is a combination of all the way through the bag skill that we haven't really seen since Tiger Woods. So, he is, in my opinion, the man to beat, and he will be very hard to beat, I think, this week.
But then Stenson, I mean, maybe there's some momentum here too, right? I mean, talk about being in a zone. I've never seen anything like that. I mean, that was as great as it comes at the end of the
I've never seen anything like that from Stenson. Obviously, I mean, we've seen Tiger play that type of golf where he hit it far better than everybody else, and then nobody can explain what he was doing around and on the greens. That's unusual. I mean, it caught everybody by surprise what he was doing on the greens. And yeah, if he continues that, which is highly unlikely, but if he does, I think he'd give Dustin Johnson a run. Dustin Johnson got off to a slow start at the Open Championship and still finished ninth by his standards, playing poorly this year.
Yeah, we were kind of joking yesterday that it's a good thing Stenson's not playing with John Daly because Stenson's caddy's no longer allowed to smoke, and that'd probably be pretty mean to do, right? To hook him up with Daly out there today.
Yes.
That'd be very mean-spirited. Do we know if his caddy's still off the heaters? Do we know that, Brandel? Any idea?
You know what? I don't have that report, but I'll pay close attention and get back to you on that one, Rich. That's right up there with butter sculptures. I'll look for those as well.
Excellent, Brandel. Thanks for joining the show. I appreciate it very much.
You bet. Nice talking to you, Rich.
We'll chat soon. Thank you. There you go. That's Brandel Chamblee.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.